Very pleased to be here. It's my very first time here up on stage, but it's great also to see many familiar faces. I hope you all had a good time so far. It's already day 3 of the convention, and it's been an intensive time. The reason my voice is maybe not so ideal is not because of all the interactions. It's actually I have a little bit of a cold, so excuse me for that. So we are talking about the IoT puzzle because we believe there's a couple of puzzle pieces that need to come together to have a coherent picture and to make the whole thing work. And this is the key theme also for this summit. So when we are talking about IoT, sometimes we get very different reactions. There are some people that say, well, what do you mean? IoT is everywhere around us. All the devices that I see are already connected and they all seem to work just fine. But then there's sometimes then other viewpoints and say, but it doesn't feel like that. Where are actually all the benefits that were promised, right? Where do we have the good business cases that really show there's efficiency gains, right? There's other further improvements that make my life easier, more convenient, more efficient and all that, right? So we would like to explore why that might be the case and also, of course, how to overcome some of the challenges. So speaking about challenges, I'm not going to go through all of them, but for sure, network availability and coverage is a big one. There's many operators here in that room. We are grateful for that. And of course, it's up to them to provide connectivity also in rural areas. We will speak about satellite, right? Because then maybe satellite can play an important role to cover spaces where currently the coverage is just not sufficient and maybe will never be. But it's also very important about interoperability, because even if you have all the devices connected and you bring them somehow then to the network, how can we make sure that they all exchange data and you can make use out of that? One of the key success factors of when the internet was really becoming big in the 90s was actually that we had good way, open protocols, APIs, interfaces to make sure that all the computers and servers that were then finally connected actually could exchange all that kind of data. I believe we are not yet there for IoT. It's very different ecosystem sometimes, and it's not easy and not seamless for sure. Security. I mean, G&D is a security technology company, and that is in our DNA. And we firmly believe that if we actually want to get all of the benefits out of the IoT, we have to make it secure. It needs to be there from the very beginning. Otherwise, we not just do not get the benefits out of it, but it also we will create something that is maybe uncontrollable and could create a lot of downsides as well. And then scalability, right? We are talking about billions of devices. We have the experience that very often, when we talk to customers, it's not that hard to have a couple of proof of concepts with a couple of devices, but how do you scale it then from a use case where you have dozens or hundreds of devices into 10,000s or millions of devices? That takes a whole different approach very often in order to make it work. Right, so these are feelings in a way, right? But we also wanted to get some facts and some real data around that. So together with external partners, we actually launched a survey, and we actually also tried to deep dive in a couple of these important elements that we believe. And there were a couple of interesting outcomes, right? So on the network authentication part, we believe a very important puzzle piece. We actually see that almost 2/3 of the respondents, they're still not using eSIM. Believe it or not, just 1 year ago, we were here on Mobile World Congress. I was sitting in meetings then with a very well-funded IoT startup. After the meeting, they actually came back and say, hey, can you once again explain me what this eSIM thing is, because we haven't understood it. And so maybe there's an educational effort that we still have to do here to make that ecosystem then work. Security, already mentioned that, is super important, needs to be the foundation for everything. The good thing here is that more than 50% of the respondents believe that the SIM, in whichever format, can be a very important security root of trust. And we believe that this is a well-proven technology. It has been developed over more than 30 years in different form factors, and it has been very reliable, super secure, and we should build upon that and then actually use that as this kind of root of trust as well. Global IoT connectivity, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? Because in the end, if this whole thing needs to work, then all the devices need to be able to communicate no matter where they're positioned. And sometimes they switch places. Sometimes they go across borders. They need to be handed over then to different networks. And our job is to provide this in a seamless manner so that actually some people, they do not need to worry about how to ensure that everything stays connected, even though the location might be different. And then, of course, to make the whole economics fly, you need to have connectivity management. You need to make sure that you have the ability to not just monitor what's happening, but also then turn off, switch off places, devices, and ensure that actually they are on the right plan the way you would like to have it. So these are our puzzle pieces. These are our 4 puzzle pieces where we believe that are integral to make then the IoT work at scale, to really capture then all the benefits. It's about network authentication. It is about the global IoT connectivity no matter where you are. It is about the management of the whole connectivity solutions, and underlying all of that is the security aspect. So if we have these 4 puzzle pieces in place, we believe it's going to work. So how can this then work in reality? There we go. So take a practical use case, which we believe is a very viable one, which is track and trace. It's about optimizing logistics and supply chains, right? So think about a container with valuable goods that needs to be shipped around the world. Here you need to have a device that actually is connected then to the network, but then tracks the container as it moves then across. You need to have that secure connection wherever that go, and we need to be able then to hand it over across different networks, and we need to be able then to monitor that on a kind of management platform in order to see where it is, what the kind of environmental parameters are, and also when maybe the estimated time of arrival is. We believe in that practical use case there are huge efficiency gains in the supply chains, and if we make this then work, there's really a big value to be captured, both in terms of efficiency, but also in terms of sustainability, because you can have better route tracking and a better environmental footprint with that. So this is not just PowerPoint, this is not just brochures and marketing speak. We have been working in this space actually for more than 30 years, for 3 decades, and we have a couple of very good proof points to actually see that this is then working also then in reality. Just to give you a couple of numbers, we are at the moment managing more than 3 billion SIM cards that are out there. We actually have been instrumental in not just inventing the SIM card and establishing that as a security root of trust 30 years ago, but also together with the partners, many of them together here in the room, we have been instrumental in pushing that now to the next evolution, which is then the eSIM and beyond that for the iSIM wave then to come. And we are also your trusted partner when it comes to providing global connectivity. We can do that in more than 160 countries of the planet, which basically covers most of the world, of course. Right, so to wrap it up, IoT will have benefits, and we can for sure all help to make it then work. It needs to be secure, but if we put those puzzle pieces together, if we overcome the challenges that we briefly touched upon, we believe we will have a world where there will be billions of devices seamlessly connected in a secure manner, and by that we will have unlimited potential across all different verticals. Thank you for that. Then, if you want to learn more, we have a couple of publications that might be interesting, have published white papers. You can also read more about the surveys that I just spoke about, and actually the opinions of the response that we have gotten for that. So there's a very valuable material available. And with that said, thanks a lot for your attention, and looking forward then to the rest of the summit.